Okay. Okay. Oh, come on. All right. It's a bit late, I guess. Okay, I'll be waiting for a little bit and we'll begin with the podcast. Okay. Okay, let's go then. Oh, okay. Okay, three people. That's fine. I'll just start right now with the podcast. Hey, please, can I appreciate it, man? I'll begin the recording immediately then. Let me get my. Okay. Oh, I have to change the pictures. As soon as I change the pictures, we're good to go. Okay. Gotta get rid of the stupid pictures here. Okay. Okay, we're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. Hello everyone, I'm Feño. This is the full preview for UFC 317. So we have a very good pay-per-view actually. Not all the pay-per-views have been good lately, but this one, more than anything, it has a tremendous main event. It has a very compelling co-main event, and the rest of the card is pretty solid. This is going on at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada, in the United States. We have 12 bouts, and obviously this is headlined by Ilia Topuria moving up from featherweight to lightweight to challenge for the lightweight title. Isa Makhachev also relinquished his title to move up to welterweight. So we have Topuria taking on former champion Charles Du Bronx Oliveira, in which is a fantastic clash of styles. We'll get into the fight later. In the co-main event, we have Alexander Pantoja, or flyweight champion, defending his title against Kai Kara France from City Kickboxing. So why don't we get into our first fight of the night, man? Let me check. So yes. Our first fight of the night is a middleweight bout between newcomers. We have Jackson McVey against Christopher Ewert. So let me find this in my notes, because they changed the order of the fight so many times. So let's begin with McVey. McVey is a long southpaw who plays somewhat of an old school Muay Thai and BJJ game. At range, he hits very long. He fights very long behind his kicks, especially his body kick, and he has a long stride left. He likes to land from hand control too. His left leg attacking all three levels, and him poking with the lead leg tip and the occasional jab help him establishing the long range he likes. Framing with the lead hand to angle or grabbing clinches are his main ways of defending. Head movement has looked lacking so far. McVey is good inside the clinch, being very well versed in a variety of grips and having good posture to land a consistent output of knees and elbows. And his front headlock game has complemented his game very well so far, being the owner of a nasty high elbow guillotine and a quick dart choke. Not much else is known about him, as he has been all about quick finishes as a pro, and his level of opposition has been nothing to write home about. He does train out of a decent gym at St. Charles MMA with fellow UFC fighter Charles Johnson, and he does have the size for the division. There's a chance he might struggle against more physical and athletic opponents in the UFC, and how he looks in a hard fight or when he's put on his back for prolonged periods of time is a question mark. Opposed to him, we have Christopher Ewert, a volume kickboxer with power and durability, making honor to his nickname El Tanque, or the Tank. Ewert is a boxer puncher as he shines in a firefight, putting dodge-style combinations in close quarters together. His left hook and his right low kick are his favorite strikes. He usually finishes combinations with them and he throws them with power. Not much of a consistent jabber, he usually walks forward behind his high guard and opens up with combinations without much preamble. A solid counter right hand and sneaky high kicks from both sides complement his game. He's not a layered defensive fighter, he usually draws his awareness, high guard and ability to shoulder roll to remain in the pocket. His footwork isn't great, but he knows how to stay on top of foes and can also use his mobility to bail out of exchanges. He can lose his footing when extending combinations and when blitzing though. Physically strong inside the clinch, he has a fondness for big elbows over the top and will look for kicks during breaks. Not a lot of his wrestling and grappling has been seen against high-level opposition, but he does look physical and looks to have at least a solid understanding of using the wizard to blade his hips when he has been taken down. And he also showed good urgency when he found himself with an opponent in mount and on his back in one of his previous fights. Ewert is durable, conditioned, and decently athletic, but he lacks control tools and he can get sloppy during exchanges. So, undefeated prospects face each other as Ewert takes this fight on a week's notice to replace Cedric Dumas, who has a monitor on his ankles. We have a clash of styles here. The long southpaw kicker, McVey versus the puncher, Ewert. Ewert has been in hard fights before and has shown tremendous durability and conditioning. McVey, on the other hand, has been all about quick finishes, but he does seem to have a more focused game. Both guys are similarly experienced or unexperienced, if you wanted to frame it like that. Ewert looks to be more physically gifted, but McVey seems to be the more dangerous fighter moment to moment. What tipped the scales for me is that even though Ewert probably has an advantage if they exchange in the phone booth, he fights very short with not a lot of long-range weapons. And he will have to walk through a lot to get to McVey. And even if he does, McVey has shown to be a potent presence inside the clinch. Couple this with the submission abilities of the American, and I have to side with him. It is winnable for my countryman, the Chilean, if it goes long or if he gets close to exchanges. But I think that McVey gets a submission on round number 2. Okay, let's check the shot, guys. Check the shot real quick. We have Plisken, we have Damien Talks Design. Who has more aura here? That one is a close one in this one, man. Jackson McVey is a very MAGA coded name. Oh, for sure it is, man. We have Ghost. Thank you so much, man. We have Rainel George. Hi, I'm new. Found this channel through Phantom Punch Breakdowns. Hey, appreciate it, man. Thank you so much, Ghost, for being here. Hope you enjoyed the breakdowns. I'm breaking down every single fight on the card. So if you want to know about any of the fights, I got you covered, my man. And also, I'll be streaming live during the fights on Saturday. So yeah, I mean, glad to have you guys around. I guess I'm taking a break during when we get to the main card. So I will grab something to drink then. But from the time being, we can get to our next fight. Let's check what's the next one. Okay, we have the big boys. I gotta say that on the recorded part, right? Let me find my notes. Okay. And we have the big boys next. We move all the way up to heavyweight. And we have a fight between Jhonata Diniz and newcomer to the UFC, Alvin Hines. Let's begin with Diniz. A former pro kickboxer, calm and collected, Diniz operates at range mostly behind solid leg kicks both to the inside and outside. He feints from both sides, and a poking double jab allows him to find his power shots. He's powerful with both hands, closes the door with the left hook, and stays balanced and over his feet during combinations. He pairs his attacks well and adjusts mid-combination based on reactions. His defense is bare bones. He moves his head proactively with his own attacks, but he can be caught at range. He's a decent counter-punching, and that alleviates some of his defensive issues. He has shown improved takedown defense, not in his last fight, but before that. He can kill shots early with underhooks and good circling with his footwork. He can be taken down during prolonged exchanges or when opening up with his right hand. From pole position, he has been decent at stalling, but he's nothing to write home about. But if he finds a spot, he will create space and work get-ups if he's allowed. Diniz has good cardio and shin. His biggest problem comes in the form of sketchy moments at range and his lack of experience when it comes to wrestling and grappling. Opposed to him, we have the American Alvin Hines. Big and hard-working heavyweight, Hines plays a well-rounded game. From range, he looks to jab, low kick, or change levels to start his combinations to the body. He has decent footwork that allows him to pressure, but also to angle out after exchanges. He's decently powerful. He usually loses form after 2 or 3 punches, but he usually tries to grab collar ties to control exchanges. He likes his counter right hand, usually backing up and grabbing a loose collar tie with his left before firing. Kicks to all 3 levels round up his game. Head movement is lacking, especially during exchanges, but he alleviates this somehow with his counters, the aforementioned collar ties, and his decent footwork that I already mentioned as well. Hines is not shy about changing levels into takedowns. He has a solid single leg in open space and drive foes to the cage to finish the double, but he can be impatient during change wrestling situations. His decent athleticism and size allow him to defend takedowns if he can get a sprawl or get a hold of a clinch, but he has been taken down in transitions before. Hines is a well-rounded and put together game. He carries respectable power and can fight well tired, but he lacks depth and a second gear to take over fights with. So Hines makes his UFC debut, and while Diniz has a similar amount of fights to him, this is a big step up in competition for the American. Not only is Diniz probably the best striker the American has faced, but he's also bigger and more athletic than his average opponent so far by a decent margin. Hines could make something happen if he mixes in a few well-timed takedowns here and there, and this is heavyweight and anyone can land a big shot, but Diniz will be operating with both a length and a speed advantage while also being the more comfortable striker of the two. Hines has struggled scoring takedowns and maintaining control in the past, So even if he gets good entries, a victory that way is not guaranteed. Diniz is also way better than average at dealing with kicks, which has been an X factor for Hines in the past. The nail in the coffin for me is Hines' lack of head movement during exchanges. I feel like Diniz will consistently find his devastating left hook. I think the Brazilian finds the knockout at the end of the first round. Okay, let me get back to the chat here. Yes, I am one of the few guys that breaks down every single fight. It takes a lot of work, to be honest, man. The prison frequenter, the Chinese go crazy with the nicknames, man. They go insane. Yeah, Hines is solid. It's very well put together, but I don't think he's going to like the size of some of the UFC heavyweights. And Diniz is kind of chunky. Like he doesn't have a six pack or anything, but he's a big dude, man. And I don't think Hines is going to like that, especially because Hines is like a decent athlete for being a big guy, but UFC heavyweights are like we had our moment of having a lot of like fat middleweights in the UFC, but now like looking at the division, we had a lot of actual big guys right now in the UFC. So I think he's very sitcom dad coded, man. He's very sitcom dad coded. Like obviously in real life he's obviously like a jacked big guy, but next to UFC heavyweights, yeah, a little bit, man. Okay, let's move on to the next fight. Okay, I'm not a big fan of this one, to be quite honest. Let me find. Okay, I have my notes here. Our next bout is contested at welterweight. We have Niko Price against Jacobe Smith. Let's begin with Price. The once dynamic Price is now a strange sort of crafty veteran. Physically diminished, Price still has most of his toughness, durability, and a decent gas tank to take advantage of it. While Price was never a technical marvel, he makes his unorthodoxy work with volume, instincts, and some decent ideas. Price is unstructured, but he does have long-range tools in open space in the form of a stiff jab, tapping leg kicks that he uses to find spots to open with combinations. His Yankee punching mechanics make his rhythm and timing hard to get a read on, and he still packs power that demands respect. He can be especially surprising with mixing his yank with ingenuity, be it with standard hammer fist, back fist after missing a big swing, or punching off kicks. Big body and head kicks help with keeping opponents honest and for the exchanges. But his defense relies on length a lot. While he can move his head and his feet, especially when pushed back, there's a disconnection between the two of them. Physically strong in the clinch, he's not very active, but he can surprise with big knees and elbows and wide punches off breaks. He will look for takedowns, mostly pushing opponents to the fence, and he's not afraid to grind in there until the takedown happens. His positioning can be messy, so he can be taken down himself inside the clinch, and also he can get counter in open space going for bad shots. His top position game is probably his most technically sound phase, and he can finish fights with ground and pound or a slick rear naked choke. From bottom, he's very active with his guard. We look to control a limb to turtle up and get back up. Price doesn't push the pace or pack the power that he once did, but he's still very tough and excels at fighting tired and taking over fights late. Against him, we have Jacobe Smith, a former collegiate wrestler. Smith is a plus athlete and an aggressive transition fighter, still a bit unpolished on the feet. Smith is incredibly quick and powerful. He probes with his lead hand with jabs to measure the distance to attack with his rear side, be it with big right hands or dangerous knees if opponents shell up. He has a good feel for striking with good distance and shot selection, but he doesn't have much in the way of defense, and his mechanics can be wonky at times. His aggression can really mask some of the defensive issues, And obviously he has the wrestling in his back pocket at all times for defense. Wrestling has translated very well for him so far. While his setups aren't very refined yet, he has a very quick shot and is a resourceful chain wrestler. He shines during transition as he has very good instincts to use rights, mat returns, clinches, and all the spaces in between to land strikes. Knees, uppercuts, elbows, leg kicks, Smith will attack in bursts before changing levels for a takedown once again. Smith is only 4 years into his career, so rapid improvements are not out of the question right now. He has rarely faced adversity in his career so far, but his cardio has looked good the few times that he saw the final bell of a fight. The veteran Price has his work cut out for him in this one, as we saw him struggle against a big and athletic fighter willing to mix faces in Themba Gorimbo last time out. Smith doesn't have the size of Gorimbo, but he's a lot more violent and a more nuanced wrestler. It really looks like Price's best chance would be making this fight long and take advantage of the inexperience of the wrestler in grueling fights. And he could punish some of the habits of Smith on the feet, especially if he gets to establish a long range and a steady pace. That being said, Smith has the wrestling and a power advantage to bail him out of most trouble in this matchup. I think Price's grappling will keep him safe from a finish, but it won't allow him to deny the wrestling. I think that Price is very tough. I know he has been finished a few times, but I think he survives here. I think that Jacobe Smith wins a decision. The dudes that Smith was fighting on the regional scene were so bad. Yeah, man. He was mostly on like squash matches, man. But the one time that he fought like a decent guy, they went to decision. But then on the UFC, he had like a very like hard matchup for him in Preston Parsons, I felt, and he just vaporized him with an ugly left hook. So I don't know, man. It's hard to know because like Preston Parsons was supposed to be a very hard test for Smith, and he got killed, man. In fact, I thought that Parsons was like on way of winning the fight before getting killed. But yeah, I mean the striking has come in a long way. Like the mechanics are weird. I hate the left hook of Jacobe Smith, especially because he like extends the arm when he throws the left hook, which I completely hate. But hey, man, when you're that fast and powerful, like what works, right? Okay, let's get to the next one. Oh, I hate this one, man. I hate this one. I absolutely hate this one, man. We go to lightweight for our next bout, and it's a fight between Terrance McKinney and Vladislav Borshcheev. So let's begin with McKinney. McKinney's a real do or die fighter. In 23 pro bouts, McKinney, win or lose, has never seen the scorecards. That's crazy. He's mostly a southpaw. He starts fights fast, usually attacking with big kicks at open space, mostly to the body. McKinney is deceptively long and quick. He usually connects long punches when pressuring people, and is quick to land effortless knees if opponents look to close the gap. Punching off his knees and punches and kicks is another strong suit. Defense, especially when pushed back, has consistently been an issue for him. While his willingness to throw back coupled with his speed and power has saved him in the pocket, his lack of defense in exchanges has been very worrying. He also has been punished numerous times for his habit to dip into his left side when unsure about what's coming. He has been caught with knees and high kicks. Wrestling is a solid safety blanket though, and another strong part of his game, especially early. McKinney is a monstrous wrestler with a good mix of physicality and technique. He's very suffocating from top control, mixing rights with traditional BJJ position, and has a good arsenal of submissions. Other than his striking defense, cardio has always been an issue for McKinney, likely because of the frantic pace that he pushes more than any conditioning problems. And this issue is exacerbated by his lack of depth. His bare bones defense is easier to exploit when he has lost his explosiveness. McKinney has supposedly been addressing these issues, but we haven't seen anything yet, as he got another quick finish in his last fight. Against him, we have Borshcheev, a rangy kickboxer with a big left hook. Slava Klaus likes to move around the outside, disrupting and measuring his opponents with the inside leg kick, waiting for entries or counter opportunities. Not much of a consistent jabber at long range, but he makes a good use of it during exchanges, intercepting entries or tracking fleeing foes. Borshcheev is at his best when he's able to slip the initial shot with his high guard and fire back with his dangerous hooks, especially the left hook that he can land to the body or head to tremendous effect. A switch stance kicker, his boxing surprisingly doesn't change much from southpaw, but he likes to open up the open side body kick against orthodox fighters going to southpaw. A hard kicker, he likes to punish the circling of his opponents with roundhouse kicks to all three levels. He's solid defensively, mixing his responsible high guard with constant head movement to both sides and pulls. He can tend to be too reactive with his defense at times though, and he can be set up by feints, combinations, or caught making the wrong read. Solid inside the clinch, he's a punishing dirty boxer from collar ties with dangerous uppercuts, and his footwork on the inside is good. Wrestling has consistently been an issue, but years training at Team Alpha Male have turned him into a solid fierce slayer scrambler. Borshcheev is well conditioned and very tough, but it seems like his reflexes and durability are not in his prime anymore, and even his power has seemed to take a hit. This one seems like a 2-outcome fight, as most McKinney's fights really, as he will either get the early finish or Borshcheev will be able to rally back. This one is one of those that widely favors McKinney early though, as he will have a power advantage on the feet, but also a solid grappling edge, so he can win like both ways. Slava Klaus has been harder to submit lately, but he has been more hurtable on the feet and a lot less dynamic overall. If McKinney gets tired, it is very likely game over for him, as Borshcheev will exploit his lack of fundamentals and punish his body consistently. But after the last few performances, I cannot trust the Russian to survive the early onslaught here, especially when he has been looking slower and more frail on the feet, where he's supposed to have the advantage in this matchup. So my pick is that McKinney gets a round 1 submission. Hey, Dr. Jones, man. You have to mute Terrance McKinney. He doesn't seem very smart, man. He does seem like a nice person, but yeah, Slava Klaus is washed, man. I feel like if this was like Prime's Borshcheev, I think I might pick him, especially with the improvements to the grappling defense that he has been making. But I feel like McKinney is going to take him down and probably hurt him on the feet too. Borshcheev looked like, especially in the Nolan fight. In the Nolan fight, like Borshcheev looked pretty bad. Like I thought like for the Chase Hooper one, I was like, okay, maybe he got hurt like very bad. He just like, sometimes you just make the wrong read, right? And he showed a lot of heart surviving in that Chase Hooper fight, because he was getting his ass beat, man. But yeah, that Nolan fight, because Nolan did not look great. I mean, he looked solid, but he looked like the kind of fighter that loses to Borshcheev in that fight, and Borshcheev did not get going, man. And it's sad, man. Borshcheev was very fun to watch, and I got kind of late to the train. I kind of hated him at first, when he was like always super fun to watch. I don't know why I was being a hater, man. McKinney has like so much potential, man, but he's not very bright, man. Let's put it like that. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. This one could be good, but I doubt it. let me look for it in my notes. Okay. Next, we have a women's flyweight fight between Viviane Araujo and Tracy Cortez. Let's begin with Araujo. Araujo! Shout out to my boy Dan Tom. So Araujo, athletic and powerful. She has adopted the role of a veteran as of late, fighting less dynamically and more concerned with control. Araujo mostly likes to walk people down with her jab and 1-2s, looking to set up the overhand or a takedown entry. Mostly gone is the bouncy footwork, the DJ Dillashaw cosplay that she was known for. In the past, leg kicks and the threat of the takedown complement her range striking. She will look to work in transitions, using level changes to land strikes or closing to the clinch behind her right hand. Her defense relies a lot on controlling the initiative moving forwards, employing lean backs, but also framing and hiding behind her lead shoulder. Her wrestling, both offensively and defensively, are helped by her athleticism. Strong from the body lock with a variety of finishes, she can also finish takedowns attacking the legs against the fence. She has been hard to take down. She will dig for underhooks quickly, but fighters have gotten to her hips when swarming her against the fence. Heavy from top position, she maintains a solid base and has very good submission defense. Usually goes for control over damage when she gets to top position. The lack of her former dynamism and lack of depth and adaptability are her greatest issues. Against her, we have Tracy Cortez, an athletic and compact wrestler boxer. Cortez has been showing a steady improvement to her striking in her last few bouts. Decent boxing fundamentals and good awareness during exchanges allow her to take advantage of her natural pop and takedown threat. Cortez usually attacks with short combinations, entering off feints or leg kicks, and looks to angle when she's done. While her right hand is the one she lands with authority the most, she constantly closes the door with the left hook during most combinations. Her footwork is solid, being able to circle well and offers some southpaw looks for entries. She could afford to have a more consistent jab though, as she relies on feints and big movements to dictate exchanges. Her movement is inconsistent, but this is alleviated a bit by her mentioned habit of angling out and her ability to counter and see shots inside. Wrestling and clinches offer her more defensive options. As a wrestler, Cortez is at her best finding open space shots during transitions, having a quick level change and decent finishes to her double and single leg. Inside the clinch, she's inactive, usually grinding to find opportunity for takedowns, though she can throw good punches during breaks. From top, Cortez is controlling and she has solid heavy base, and she's good at denying get-up attempts with rights to re-establish control. Despite her athletic acumen, Cortez has not been a finisher against high-level opposition, and that can cost her when falling behind in fights. She's very well conditioned and tough. Her lack of immediate danger and some polish issues with her striking defense are his biggest problems. This is a fight between two well-rounded athletic fighters. Cortez comes as the less experienced fighter, but she's on the right side of a 7-year-old differential here. Araujo, while still athletic, has lost some of the dynamism she showed when she first came to the UFC, especially as a dangerous striker. And while she fixed her most glaring conditioning issues, she still prefers mid-pace fights and doesn't mind losing big portions grinding inside the clinch. While Araujo moves well on the inside and might be able to defend bad takedown attempts and punish them with uppercuts if she can drought them, I think Cortez is the better school boxer, especially during exchanges, and has the pop to push Araujo back and make her respect her. Cortez is also the stronger wrestler in the matchup, and I expect her to have a considerable cardio edge as well. This is an interesting test for the American, but I expect her to be one step ahead. My read here is that Cortez wins a decision. Hey Fabián, ¿qué onda? Yeah, I don't know what happened to Araujo, man. Araujo was crazy, and now she fights insanely safe. Also turned into somewhat of a wrestler. I feel like the later approach for Araujo is not the move here against Tracy. I really doubt that she's going to be able to wrestle Cortez, man. Jesus Vicious, I would say, is a better wrestler than Araujo and more physical at this stage. She was not getting it done with that. Like Araujo is game, but I feel like Cortez probably has more dog, right? Like Cortez, if she has to get into a firefight to win the fight, she's going to do it. I feel. And Araujo is like, maybe I'll go to a decision and maybe the judges will see it for me. So she's more on that stage of her career. So yeah, I gotta side with Tracy here. Okay, what's next? Oh, this one is a banger. This one is the hidden gem of this card, man. We go to featherweight next, and we have a fight between Haider Amil and Jose Delgado. Very quickly, let me find my notes here. Okay, so let's begin with Amil, a pathologically aggressive southpaw. Amil is usually pressuring, but he can also sit outside looking for his spots. He mostly works behind feints and a stiff inside leg kick that he likes to use as an entry for his combinations. Body kicks and big left hands from his rear side do damage, but his best punch is his lead right hook. He throws it wide as a counter in open space, but he's more effective throwing it tight inside the pocket after his left hand, sneaking it through guards. His pressure exposes him to be hit, but he maintains good awareness. His movement could be better, but he angles after combos and has an active guard. He's especially good at catching and parrying kicks and converting those catches in counters and takedowns. In the topic of takedowns, Amir is a willing transition fighter that will grab clinches or change levels into takedown attempts to change the pace of a fight. He will use breaks as a chance to look for big strikes, but he's better when he actually connects with a takedown. As soon as his opponents hit the mat, Amil is all over them looking for damage, diving for big punches with good posture. He will use wrist control and leg rights to stop get-ups, but his focus is on damage over control. A solid submission grappler too, Amil likes to take the back and has been himself very hard to submit even when found in precarious positions. His eagerness to get to the ground and take the back has found him on his back or with foes on his own back numerous times though. And while he's very good at surviving, he can lose time in bad positions. Amil is powerful, well-conditioned, and incredibly tough. His approach can be one note, and his lack of variety and his own aggression can play against him. His opponent is Jose Delgado, an MMA lab southpaw. Delgado keeps a very high output and is a low-rounder threat, well-versed in transitions like guys from his camp usually are. Long and big for the division, Delgado loves the body kick in open space and is willing to change stances to get to the open side with the rear kick. A long tricky 1-2 in which he can vary the trajectory of his 2 allows him to snipe from long distance. And he loves knees, be it stepping it from range after his punches or from a variety of grips inside the clinch, more on that later. If he gets opponents backing up, he will track them with long punches before opening up with long combinations against the cage. Punch to the body and his aforementioned knees make him a dangerous threat against the fence. His defense relies a lot on distance and footwork, as he doesn't move his head much, but he's an active counter threat, particularly with a sneaky rear left hook. Clinches and single legs offer defensive options and also allow him to work his transitions. Just an active and aggressive inside the clinch as he is at range, Delgado uses his long frame to land knees and elbows, and he will look to drop levels or land a trip to get the fight to the ground. On the ground, he has good positioning and base, and will open up with nasty ground and pound. Taking the back is also a specialty for him, as he's the owner of 3 professional wins via rear naked choke. His aggressive and scrambling nature has exposed him to bad position in the past, but he's a solid grappler and scrambler from bad position as well. Delgado is well conditioned and dynamic, but he can lack focus during fights and his defense can use some work. So this fight is guaranteed to be action-packed as both fighters waste no time in getting aggressive. It will be interesting to see if Delgado mirrors Amil's southpaw stance as an orthodox to get his open side game going, or if he will face him in a close stance matchup from his natural southpaw stance. While both guys have flexibility to their directionality, I think it is more likely that Amil will be the one pushing forwards here. Delgado is likely the more accurate puncher, but Amil packs more power and will have a better control of the initiative if he pressures. Both guys also like fighting during transition, so clinches and takedown attempts from both ways should be no surprise. Also, both guys like taking the back and also have found opponents on their backs in the past. Delgado has been the more successful submission artist in his career so far. The length and volume from Delgado might trouble Amil, especially if he gets to push forwards, and we can't discount that Delgado is 8 years younger here. But I think Amil's approach is more focused and he is simply too tough. If he manages to not get kneed in the face, I like his chances here. I think that Amil wins a close decision in an all-out war. Do you like knees personally? I'm not great at knees, but yeah, I think like knees are very cool, man. When I doing like bad hero work, I like flying knees and stuff like that, and I feel like I have decent technique with my knees, but I'm not like super good inside the clinch, and so I don't have like great setups. I can knee like pretty hard, but I'm not like a very proficient kneer myself. But I like seeing knee strikes. I think they're sick to watch. I like a lot of stuff, but at the end of the day, I always will be a jab, low kick, left hook kind of guy. Okay, we have middleweights. We're back at middleweight for the next one, and we have Jack Hermansson, the Joker, against Robocop Gregory Rodrigues. didn't quite decided if I wanted to say it in English or in Portuguese. Let's begin with Hermansson. So Hermansson is a well-rounded fighter with a Greco background. He's mostly an outfighter at range. He has good lateral movement and a long snappy jab that allows him to maintain range. His jab leg kick changeup has become a dangerous weapon, and he has front kicks to the body, stepping knees, and loopy right hands to help with variety. A punching of kicks and knees is also a good option to surprise his opponents. While his defense can look shaky, he's solid at covering up, parrying, and shoulder rolling, and he improves defensively as fight goes on. His decent footwork, he has decent footwork but inconsistent head movement. Jack has the ability to change levels to smoother exchanges with clinches. A solid wrestler and transition fighter, Hermansson is solid all around. Physically strong inside the clinch, he can muscle people with upper body takedowns, but he's also good at landing knees and finding big punches during breaks. Also not afraid to shoot to the legs in open space, he has a solid single leg, but he's better at timing double legs, be it as a counter or using his striking threat. From top position, he has very solid control, having a heavy base. He has solid ground and pound, especially from dominant positions. His arming guillotine is dangerous and he can find it during transition, and his ability with leg locks help him to create scrambles. Takedown defense is another strong point, being hard to take down in open space and against the fence, and maintaining active with strikes while defending. Hermansson is very well conditioned and tough, and at 37 years of age, he remains a solid athlete. His lack of depth and power in the striking and the need of the right setup for takedowns means he has to rely on conditioning to turn around fights if he doesn't start winning. Against him we have Robocop Gregory Rodrigues. Aggressive and well-rounded, Rodrigues is dangerous in multiple areas. A kill cliff and Henry Hoof fighter, Rodrigues is at his best moving forwards, using his stiff jab and solid footwork to back people up and open up with powerful combinations. A fan of posting with his jab to measure and unload massive right hands, Robocop also has a stiff, bad clubbing left hook that he can use to go to the body as well. His defense is somewhat shallow, he relies a lot on exiting range, and he throws his high guard, parries, and frames to keep him safe during exchanges. But he can get wild and over aggressive, and he has been countered getting too excited with his offense. He moves his head on the outside looking to close the gap, but he rarely does so inside the pocket. The clinch is also a strong suit for him, as he's proficient with a variety of throws. I think he's a judo black belt, and he's also dangerous with elbows and knees against the fence during transitions. A solid wrestler too, Rodrigues has a quick level change that he can mix in well with his strength at range, and despite not being a nuanced shine wrestler, he can come up to the clinch and push to the fence if he's denied to the legs. Rodrigues has good cardio and can fight well tired in case of things getting out of hand. His shin and defense in the pocket has been his biggest flaw, but his recovery is very good and he has heart and toughness for days. This one should be another war, and neither guy is likely to back down here. We've seen Rodrigues tire more often in the past, and Hermansson has shown that he improves as fight goes long. The problem for Jack here is that this fight is only 3 rounds. As long as both guys are fresh, Rodrigues seems like a particularly bad matchup for the Swedish fighter here. He's the bigger puncher by a decent margin here, but he's also one of the few fighters in the division who, at the same time of being a better striker, he can comfortably hang inside the clinch and underground with Hermansson. Hermansson is a superior jabber, and he can move well on the outside, but Rodrigues will compete with a jab of his own and has solid pressure in footwork. I think it is the lack of power to turn things around soon enough, coupled with the age and this being a 3-rounder, that makes me side with the Brazilian here. I'm guessing that this one mostly plays out on the feet as they neutralize each other's grappling, and in that situation, I think that Rodrigues will bank at least 2 rounds, so my pick here is that Robocop wins a decision. Love your breakdowns, man. I appreciate it, Worth. I'm 100% sure this fight is Dana punishing Jack for derailing his boy. Probably, man. Probably, because he stopped Pfeiffer right on his tracks, right? And now he gets the worst matchup outside top 15 that he can get, man. I'm usually better at landing, I'm not great inside the clinch. But I'm usually if I'm landing knees, I'm landing them inside the clinch. When I used to train Muay Thai, I used to just smother guys. I keep very close and land side knees, like those when you leave from the side and go inside. And then I usually just look for the big knee and the big elbow during breaks. That's what I do mostly. I want to get better in the clinch. I'm not training at the moment, but I really do want to get better. Especially I want to get better at foot sweeps and using footwork inside the clinch. I feel like I didn't work a lot on my clinch when my footwork improved a lot. So maybe I can get better with that, man. I really want to get back to training and use the footwork inside the clinch, to be honest. Moicano for life. I'm too short, man. I'm a puncher. I'm a puncher and a leg kicker. That's what I am. Okay. Okay. So we're moving into the main card. Okay. I'll get something to drink because I'm having a bit of an allergy. So I'll be back super quick for the main card. And this opener is such a banger, man. So give me a second here, guys. I did not have enough milk for a whole cup, man. So I'll drink like half a cup of a cold latte here. I think I put way too much sugar in this one. Oh, that's the good stuff, man. Okay, let's get into that main card. Opening up the main card, we have a banger of a bantamweight fight, as we have Payton Talbott against Felipe Lima. So let's begin with Talbott. A dynamic and violent striker, Talbott is usually moving forwards with floating hands at chest height, looking to parry incoming strikes or move back to avoid shots and find spots for his combinations. Excellent at putting strikes together, Talbott is always building combinations to land his big shots, and he mixes his targets well. His punching mechanics can be a bit stiff or wide sometimes, but he stays balanced when throwing and usually has follow-up options. A variety of different kicks, stepping knees and elbows from the clinch complement his hands and open up more options for him at range. His defense isn't super layered, in particular his head movement, but as long as he has the initiative, he does a good job of mixing parries, leanbacks, and taking angles after his combinations to remain safe. Counters are a strong point, as he has very good eyes to find a short left hook or angling into pull counters, and his vision coupled with his hand position mean he's good at catching kicks too. Takedown defense is a concern, since his tall stance makes changing level into him easy, and his reaction to shots aren't the quickest or sharpest, but he's a good scrambler aided by his size and does a good job of minimizing damage when he has been controlled. On the other hand, from top he has shown nasty ground and pound and a good feel for the rear naked choke. Talbott is obviously very talented and dangerous, but he's still raw, especially defensively, with his inconsistent head movement and suspect takedown defense being the biggest issue so far. Conditioning seems at least passable, and his gym seems solid. Against him we have Felipe Lima, Jungle Boy, a well-rounded transition-based fighter. Lima is aggressive on the feet, constantly changing stances, looking for openings to land to all three levels. An active kicker at range, he will attack with side kicks to the knee and leg and body kicks from both stances to establish range. While most of his offense is thrown at full power, constant feigning, variety and good movement give him some control tools. A solid pocket boxer, Lima gets slow and attacks with tight hooks on the inside while moving his head and angling after his combinations. Flying knees and spinning attacks that he can work into his feints and variety complete his range arsenal. Lima has proactive defense in the form of blocking, head movement, and footwork, but he can be on the roadside and is a lot better when he has the initiative. Lima is also not shy about changing levels into takedown attempts or clinches. Inside the clinch, Lima is aggressive with uppercuts and knees and will look for big hooks or elbows during breaks. A solid wrestler, he has been hard to take down and a threat offensively. Transitions are a main focus for him, and he will use takedown attempts and breaks to find big strikes. And he's also good at setting up grappling opportunities with the reactions gathered by his feints and strikes. Lima is conditioned and tough, but he's too willing to accept the fight in all phases, and his defense can be exposed when he's pushed back or controlled. This is a fantastic fight between prospects. Talbott struggled against the wrestling of the well-rounded Barcelos last time out, and now he gets a similar all-rounder in Lima. Lima probably doesn't have the depth of Barcelos in any particular area, especially in wrestling and grappling, but what he has going for him is the confidence, dynamism, and natural transition instincts to punish Talbott for being single-focused. Barcelos had to change his attempts a few times here and there, and while I think Lima is capable of that, I think he's more likely to strike when Talbott is defending. You gotta watch out though, Talbott is the more powerful and natural striker in the matchup, I feel. While Lima might look better schooled inside the pocket, the American has vision and accuracy. Talbott has also shown grappling shop of his own, reversing bad takedown attempts, being brutal with ground and pound, and being the owner of a good rear naked choke. This one is hard to predict, as both guys should still be improving at this stage of their games. Lima is 1 year older, has 5 more pro fights and looks closer to being a finished product, entering his 10th years as a pro. Talbott is likely to have a length advantage. Lima is certainly taller than his build, 5'6" height, and what he might lack in experience makes up for with finishing instincts. Also, Talbott has more than a decent chance to back Lima up with his pressure and punish his movement with big strikes and fine counters. But I think Lima's insistent transition game and variety will win him enough time and will make the American reactive for him to close the gap on the feet. Mix in a few key takedowns or big strikes during transitions, and I gotta slightly lean with Jungle Boy here, so my pick here is that Felipe Lima wins a decision. Hey, Mr. C, no sé quién eres, pero gracias. This is such a good fight, man. Like, some people are thinking that Lima is going to, like, walk over Talbott. But, like, Barcelos didn't walk over Talbott, to be honest. And Barcelos is a very good wrestler. Like Lima is good, but he's like... Lima is like MMA good, while Barcelos is like a real wrestler. Like, people don't realize that. Like, I know people don't take like Brazilian wrestling like super serious, but he still has a background in wrestling. It's such a good fight. I'll be so hyped for this one, man. Anyway, let's move into the next one. Well, only a few fights left. We're back at lightweight for our next one, and we have Beneil Dariush against Renato Moicano. Those guys were supposed to fight a while ago. The fight got cancelled because Moicano got promoted to the main event, so we're finally getting the fight. So let's begin with Dariush. A well-rounded southpaw veteran, Dariush is a fighter that might not look the prettiest all the time, but he can do it all and do it well and do it consistently on top of that. A janky but powerful striker, Dariush is a southpaw kicker that does his best pressuring, walking people down with his jab and roundhouses to find his wide overhand left. Tactically, there's a lot to like with Dariush. He has good positioning, attacks in numbers, defense kicks well, returns when he gets hit, and he counters in combination. Despite not being a very nuanced boxer, Dariush's shot selection is on point, attacking with uppercuts and adjusting to his opponent's movement. He also complements his shot selection by going to the body and attacking with kicks and stepping knees. Dariush is good at mitigating offense by throwing back and predicting strikes with pullbacks and getting his head off center line to throw his own strikes. But he can lose track of his defense and positioning during prolonged combinations, swinging wild and keeping his chin high. The clinch is a strong area for Dariush. He's physically strong, and he's good at fighting collar ties and over-unders. From collar ties, he offers elbows and knees, plus wide punches during breaks. From over-unders and body locks, he has a variety of trips, and he uses the cage to his favor. On the topic of wrestling, Dariush is a very good wrestler, excellent balance inside the clinch, and good at attacking grips early on attacks. When he's surprised and taken down, he's very quick in creating scrambles with leg locks or pushing off the head and hips. A very high level black belt, Dariush is very heavy from top position and is the owner of punishing ground and pound. And never count out his submission abilities too. Even old Dariush is a better athlete than he gets credit for, but his janky mechanics can get him in trouble, and his durability and cardio have been somewhat inconsistent. Against him we have Renato Moicano, a lanky Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Moicano is more than a capable striker. He fights out of a tall stance, jabbing equally from orthodox or southpaw. Also a solid kicker, Moicano can kick the legs and body effectively from both legs to both stances. The owner of good footwork, Moicano is always looking to position himself to be able to counterpunch, and he has quick hands and snippy uppercuts to do so. While Moicano moves his feet and head well, he's vulnerable when pushed back with combinations, as he can retreat with his chin up high in straight lines. and he also has been susceptible to same time counters. The clinch has been a big part of late career Moicano. A strong clinch wrestler, Moicano loves playing the Polish throw, hip throw, changeup. He's sticky, changes direction rapidly, and has been able to take down a wide variety of opponents with that. From top position, Moicano is very dangerous with good passes, heavy posture, and ground and pound during transitions. And he shines when he gets to the back, usually forcing opponents to turtle during transitions or against the fence. And he's a high-level finisher of the rear naked choke. Cardio and toughness are very strong points, but durability, single-mindedness during tough fights have been a problem for him on more than one occasion. This is a very interesting matchup between well-rounded veterans. They are the same age, and Dariush only has 3 more fights, but Moicano comes previously to losing to Makhachev, came with the momentum of a 4-fight winning streak, while Dariush comes into this fight in a 2-fight skid, getting brutally finished both times, while Moicano just got submitted in his loss. Moicano is probably the tighter and cleaner striker from range, and if he gets the jab going, he might find counter opportunities. But he has been susceptible to southpaws in the past, and Dariush, with his aggressive approach, might be able to expose his defensive liabilities. I feel like Moicano has been exposing the wrestling of fighters in this run that he has been having, and I don't really feel like he can do that against Beneil. Dariush has shown to be strong defending takedowns, even in the positions Moicano likes the most, mostly evidenced by ending on top when Charles Oliveira, who has a very similar wrestling style to Moicano inside the clinch, tried to take him down. Dariush also strikes me as the more versatile MMA grappler of the two. We've seen lesser fighters able to create scrambles from their back against Moicano. This is very winnable for Money Moicano though, as he can no doubt land something big or do the most if he ends on Dariush's back. But I gotta side with Beneil here. He has a more reliable approach, being a better transition fighter and not offering the usual weaknesses that Moicano has been exploiting lately. So I think that Dariush by decision is my pick. I'm running out of coffee, guys. Like, people forget that Moicano has been getting a lot of damage on his own. I would not be surprised if Moicano is like washed just like Dariush. And Dariush has always been like susceptible to being like flash KO'd. I just remember the Hernandez fight. But I think he still looks pretty decent. Like that Gamrot fight was not long ago, and he looked physically fantastic in that fight. He looks so fast and strong. He looked very athletic there. I mean, obviously, I feel like people really overplay. Like, Dariush is janky, but he's like a lot more athletic than people think, man. If he was really that slow, like, Gamrot would have cooked him, man. Or maybe it will be Dariush, the lucky one that catches a kick here. Who knows? Okay, let's move to the next one. Oh. And we have another banger in the flyweight division. We have a fight between Brandon Royval and Joshua Ban. So Royval, a long southpaw. Royval fights out of a long bouncing stance, looking to hand fight and constantly feigning with his rear side. He fights with very high output, usually hand fighting or jabbing, looking to create entries to counter or back up people and track them with combinations. His left kick to the body and head keeps opponent guessing at range and helps with setting up the hands. On the counter, he can find the counter lead right hook, or he can angle trying to find the strike left, and he's quick to put numbers after a connection. He's good at pushing forwards with the 1-2, and he likes long uppercuts to deal with guards too. Punching off kicks, spinning attacks, and dangerous knees complete his striking game. His defense relies largely in his good distance management, as his head remains on the center line, and his hands are usually focused on countering more than blocking. Inside the clinch, he's good at using his length, usually smothering offense with whizzers and attacking with punches with his free hand and looking for big knees. Takedown defense has been an issue numerous times, as he mostly relies on his scrambling ability in grappling situations. As long as he can create space or get through a leg, Royval is non-stop with his scrambles, being very resourceful and quick to react. He has been stalled when put flat on his back, but he remains safe from submission and strike from the most part, waiting for spots to create movement. Royval has shown takedown ability of his own, especially inside the clinch when strikes are involved. The owner of 9 submission victories, Royval is a constant threat during transitions with guillotines, leg locks, and back takes. Royval is very durable and well conditioned. His lack of head movement and takedown defense are his most apparent problems. Against him we have Joshua Ban, a smooth and athletic boxer with a functional kicking game to add variety. Ban is at his best walking people down, poking foes with his jab, side kicks, front kicks, and leg kicks, gathering reactions. He either looks for spots to open up with tight combinations or he waits for counter opportunities. Ban likes to counter early in exchanges, timing simultaneous counters, pull counters, or coming back off slips, and he carries power in both hands. He likes to attack the body often when putting combinations together. He doesn't have a lot of setup for his kicks, but he has good timing and speed, and he's sneaky with his left high kick at the end of combinations. Ban has defensive option with solid mechanics to his footwork and head movement, but he's not a very layered defensive fighter. This is especially apparent when hanging at range or when he's pushed back, being vulnerable when he doesn't have the initiative. Ban usually relies on his excellent vision and the control of the initiative that his pressure gives him to keep himself. His takedown defense is also being very strong on the first layer, with his vision and pressure being aided by an explosive sprawl. Against the fence, his athleticism and low center of gravity have helped him defend most takedowns, and he's urgent about digging underhooks. He has shown good ability to find takedowns of his own with a good level change and solid timing, and has also shown the ability to maintain top control while landing solid ground and pound. He has answered a lot of the wrestling questions in his last 3 fights, to be quite honest. Ban is very athletic, tough, and well conditioned. His defensive flaws when pushed back are his most notorious flaws. This is a high-profile fight in the flyweight division that promises action. Ban continues his rapid ascent through the rankings, and he's met with the former title challenger and certified action banger Brandon Royval. Ban already has some experience against someone with similar dimensions to the lanky Royval when he lost his undefeated record against Charles Johnson. Royval has some similarities, but also some key differences in comparison to Inner G. Royval might not be as tricky defensively or as dangerous inside the pocket, but he's a more committed long-range fighter. This means he might not be as well prepared to deal with Ban on the inside, but he's more likely to deny that range on the first place. Ban is not hopeless at long range, as he's quick, and he will have plenty of opportunities to close in with counters if Royval fights at his usual pace. Royval can prove problematic keeping Ban on the outside and maybe even running him into counters, particularly his big knees. But the issue for him is his lack of head movement and lack of fight-defining power with the hands that will allow Ban to slowly creep his way to the fight and do more damage, I feel. I'm not expecting a lot of grappling out of this one. Royval should be the superior scrambler, but I doubt that he's taking down the sturdy Ban. The activity and range of Royval might make Ban look pedestrian early, but I think that the Burmese fighter will take over the fight early enough with his athleticism, fundamentals, and damage. So I'm thinking that Joshua Ban takes a decision on this one. Okay. Uh, oh, that's interesting, Ghost. But maybe it's the fact that this fight might be more popular just because Ban is so popular. But at the same time, it's like maybe like the podcast that you guys did about this fight has like less competition in YouTube, so more people are getting to your video. Dan Albert, we have Dan Albert here. By the way, guys, me and Dan Albert are breaking. Will be breaking down Topuria versus Charles next week. So look out for that because I know you guys love some Dan Albert. So Dan says Royval is interesting. He does rely on that distance, but it's always a matter of him needing to throw a lot of throwaways. They are hit or miss, sometimes literally. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's the punching mechanics, man. It's that for example, I think that for example, if you go back, like Icaro France had some nice ideas to deal with Royval, but he throws so wide, and Royval was so much taller that he like was seeing it coming most of the time. But for example, when you saw Pantoja, like just pushing forwards on Royval with decent punching form, he was like getting to that chin like time and time again. And Royval like he really depends on that solid chin, man. Anyway, let's get to the next fight. Oh, let's go. We stay at flyweight for our co-main event as champion Alexandre Pantoja defends against Kai Kara France. So no profiles for this one. Let's get right into the matchup. After finally getting a dominant victory over a challenger, Pantoja welcomes another striker named Kai. other than performing Other than preferring to keep the fight on the feet and their big power, there aren't too many parallels between Kara France and Asakura. The Japanese was a lanky kickboxer with dangerous knees, while the Kiwi is a stocky puncher who relies on big wide punches to put his opponents out. Pantoja finds himself being the taller man in a fight for the first time since becoming a champion, with Kai Kara France being billed as having an inch on reach on the champion. We're basically talking about a length parity in this matchup. The Kiwi has shown tremendous takedown defense, keeping the fight mostly upright against the likes of Askarov and Albasi. He hasn't been perfect grappling wise though. He found himself in some precarious position before submitting to a guillotine against Brandon Royval, though the guillotine was found on the feet, we gotta say. And he got taken down and got his back taken by Rogerio Bontorin back in 2021 and Albasi in 2023. That's very important in a fight against Pantoja. When he has found himself in scrambles or bad positions, Kai Kara France is solid, has a very good grasp of how to defend and how to improve positions, and will fight submission attempts as long as there's a way out. Now, if we go way back, these two guys already fought each other in The Ultimate Fighter, where they had a 2-round fight that was very competitive. In that fight, Pantoja was not able to secure a takedown, but he threatened to take the back against the fence. The Brazilian would end up winning the fight by reading and blocking most of Kara France's big punches and being aggressive with a kick-heavy approach. Punching into kicks has been a topic in the career of both fighters, and it might indicate that this matchup isn't as easily decided by the fact of Pantoja getting takedowns or not. So, if we remember, Pantoja has used like his combinations of punching punctuated by kicks to beat Kai Kara France in the past, but also Brandon Moreno, especially in fight 2, the one in Santiago de Chile where I was live for. And also we saw Pantoja getting his kicks to good use against Kai Asakura, tracking the exits. That's something. And And Kai Kara France not only struggled with that tactic against Pantoja back in the day, but he lost to both Brandon Moreno and Brandon Royval doing similar stuff. So that's something to look out for on the feet. Because I'm feeling like a lot of people are like widely favoring Kai Kara France on the feet. But there are stuff like, remember, Pantoja won that first fight without getting any takedowns. Kai Kara France was able to keep the fight standing back in their tough bout, but he does tend to give up his back to defend takedowns. And we know Pantoja is an elite back taker. Kai Kara France still has a lot going for him. Other than his sturdy takedown defense, he was successful against Pantoja and has been effective throughout his career using leg kicks. And if anyone has the power edge here, is the challenger, as tough as the champion has proven to be. Sometimes matchups just like don't change. And if we look back at their first fight, I was surprised to see that while both fighters have improved like a lot, it was the younger fighter here, Kai Kara France, who looked a lot closer to his current iteration. Pantoja surprisingly looked like very similar, but I feel like he has improved a lot more, especially when it comes to ideas in his striking. And especially as a technical wrestler, I feel like Pantoja is a lot better, especially when putting transitions together. I feel like there's a marked improvement in Pantoja there. Kai Kara France has improved as a defensive wrestler mostly. And the timing, he has refined the striking, but he's still like mostly the wide punches guy that he used to be back in the day. We gotta say here, Kai Kara France is younger, has the takedown defense to keep it on the feet, and he packs big power. But I think that Pantoja is going to make this fight like messy enough. And I think that it's the kicking, it's the pushing back, it's his ability to just shell up and get a read on the big overhands of Kai Kara France. I don't think that has changed that much, even though they fought so early in their career. I think that Pantoja is going to make it like ugly. Kai Kara France, if you push enough, like we saw, like Albasi eventually got a takedown and got to the back. Albasi obviously like strong, a good wrestler, but he doesn't have the transition game of a Pantoja. I think Pantoja will get to the kicking, will get to pushing Kai Kara France back, fighting at a pace that is not very comfortable for the Kiwi. And he will get to the back eventually. And I think that on round 4, Pantoja will grab a submission and retains his title. Yeah, that's a very good read, Ghost. Kai Kara France actually does a lot of like get his elbow out of his body, but on the first fight, it was Pantoja just like hitting that like switch kick, more of a pendulum kick, which is a very nice kick that Pantoja has. Like technically a very 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 pretty strike. He hits so hard with that. He was like cooking the right arm of Kai Kara France, and I don't like the chances. And if that happens again, like Kai Kara France is going to lose a lot of power in that right hand if he gets kicked like time and time and time again with that kick, man. And if they don't land in the arm, they are landing on the body, which is way worse. And yeah, that's a very good point, Dan. Kai Kara France, like, he's the kind of guy that will counter your entry with a big punch, or he will just like plant and get low and throw hooks over the top inside the pocket. But he's not very nuanced, and I feel like Pantoja on that first fight like got a very nice read. Yeah, he exposed his fight against Askarov, against Albasi, and against Bontorin. But yeah, I feel like on the first fight, if you go back and look, like Pantoja was like seeing the overhand, and he got like he will like put on the high guard and duck down, and he was like getting hit like on the hard part of the head, and he was not giving a crap, and that was like very frustrating because Pantoja on that, it's funny because Pantoja was like upping the volume but moving on the outside because Kai France was getting like very very aggressive, like pursuing him, but he was not hitting him. Pantoja like got away with a lot of volume late, especially with the kicks and with the jab. And the jab from Pantoja, the jab and the double right hand, that's something that has improved quite a lot. I think that Pantoja has improved a lot with his own leg kicks since their fifth fight. So I think like Pantoja, I think has improved more. Kai Kara France, I think he put together Kai Kara France was already a very good fighter when he got to the UFC, and then he just like found the consistency to put like his physical tools and good takedown defense to good use. But I think people will be surprised, especially when Pantoja is maybe the one like hitting the cleaner shots on the feet against Kai Kara France. It's all about styles, I think. Like obviously, like Kai Kara France like walk over Erceg, while Pantoja had to go like to hell and back with him. But France has that power and the style to punish the exits of Erceg. I think that Pantoja could have done something similar, but he didn't get the read in the fight. But I feel like Pantoja, and it's not that Kai Kara France cannot win here, right? Like he's a huge puncher, he can always win. But I do think that Pantoja is going to get a read defensively here. He's going to get it. I mean, he's not going to get hit with the big right hands, and if he gets the bag, man, as you say, man, Crab Right City, man. And if Pantoja takes the bag like Albasi or like Bontorin did, like Pantoja is next level rear naked choke guy, man. One of the best in the sport. Okay, you know, guys, it's time to go for the big one, man. And with that, we're on the main event. And this one is the big one. So I have quite a few things to say about this one. But we have former lightweight champion Charles "The Bronx" Oliveira against former featherweight champion Ilia Topuria for the vacant, undisputed lightweight UFC title. No profiles here. Let's get into the matchup. So, finally, we have one of the most compelling fights you can make in MMA right now. And that is granted not only by the quality of the participants, but also the style matchup. Topuria has become one of the premier boxers in the sport, and with good reason. He comes off tremendous knockout victories against all-time greats Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway. Not only that, but Topuria is not only a striker, as he comes from a solid grappling background and has shown tremendous wrestling and submission chops, since even before he became the Polish boxer that he is now. Oliveira himself is one of the most well-rounded fighters in the sport. He came up in the classic Brazilian archetype of Muay Thai plus Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. As a tall stance kicker who was a monster of his back and during scrambles, but over the years he has developed an increasingly solid boxing game, deadly clinch striking, and tremendous offensive wrestling. The Brazilian comes into the fight with a 3-inch height and a 5-inch reach advantage. The Georgian Spanish, on the other hand, is 7 years younger than him. The stocky Topuria comes up from featherweight, and while the Brazilian was also a featherweight once in time, it's hard not to see him having an overall size advantage that goes beyond just the length. The first aspect that we might want to ponder when it comes to this fight is the directionality of it. Topuria has been either pressuring or staying his ground on the center of the cage lately, and Oliveira likewise is at his best when he's marching people down. So who's gonna convince who to take a step back? it may play in a number of ways. Topuria has a very solid jab that he has increasingly been mixing with hard calf kicks to compete at range. Oliveira, on the other hand, will poke with jabs and also long snap kicks to the body. And his kicking arsenal will look to deter the head movement of Topuria. If anything, the toolset of Oliveira should push Topuria into pressuring harder, as he doesn't want to find himself at the end of Oliveira's kicking onslaught and leaping into range. Oliveira, for his part, has been convinced to take step backwards, usually either by big punchers like Dustin Poirier or by superior wrestlers like Tsarukyan. Unless he gets caught by something big at neutral space bout where Oliveira has the initiative, I feel is the best case scenario for him. If he makes Topuria back up, he can track him with his kicks and his long left hook. And if Topuria is forced to leap into range, he might welcome him with clinches and knees. In my opinion, Topuria would be better off keeping Oliveira on his toes, walking forwards, but picking his spots to close the distance. The body jab, leg kick, chain jab would be a good idea. Oliveira is good at defending kicks though. And kicking and showing knees might make Topuria abstain from changing levels to attack the body liberally. Chandler was able to back Oliveira up during spots, doubling and tripling with the jab, and Tsarukyan was also able to keep him at bay just by being active with his lead hand. And Oliveira, despite moments of great footwork, has been caught numerous times backing up from range by hooks. Oliveira might want to use his collar ties and knees up in close here. Volkanovski was able to find some success against Topuria in there. But Topuria was not giving the exchanges for free, quickly attacking to the body and showing good head positioning and disengaging from clinches protected with his lead shoulder. Oliveira has been thriving at ruling paces, but Topuria's power usually gives him the comfort of a mid-paces fight, even against fighters like Volkanovski and Holloway. So if Oliveira wants to push the pace, he will have to walk through the fire like he did against Dustin Poirier here. Grappling is obviously another interesting aspect. Oliveira has been an incredibly effective takedown artist even against credentialed wrestlers. But Topuria's stance, compact build, and very strong hips make him very hard to take down. I mean, he was surprised by Bryce Mitchell that one time throwing a punch, but I don't think Oliveira is being particularly effective with his open space clinch takedowns here. For all his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu magic, Oliveira has been stifled by solid top players with good ground pound. From Felder to Tsarukyan, we've seen top game change the approach of the Brazilian, especially affecting his striking when he gets back up. Topuria needs to be careful if he wants to play that game though. He needs to be responsible with his entries and not get caught with Dubronk's weak front headlock game. But if he can find himself in close guard or half guard, Topuria is capable of delivering the power with good posture that has tormented the former lightweight champion in the past. Now, let's establish some quick paths to victory going both ways here. I think what Oliveira wants here is to establish a long range with his straight punches and long kicks. Playing his counter game as soon as Topuria tries to close the distance and punish the outside movement of the Georgian with leg and bodywork. The idea is to make Topuria exchange under his own terms where he can find his hooks, uppercuts, and grab clinches during entries for his knees. If Topuria starts feeling the pace, that's the moment to look for takedowns, ideally against the fence to find the back, or force bad shots in open space to counter with the front headlock. Now for Topuria, the name of the game is steady pressure. He needs to defend kicks responsively, move his head into range, ideally forcing desperate counters or backups from the Brazilian. I see Topuria having success pushing Oliveira back and tracking him with hooks, and obviously opening up to the body against the cage. Topuria would also be wise to use his strong front headlock to stop any bad takedown attempts, and if the chance is there to establish safe stop position, take it and try to do damage quickly with ground and pound. This is a layered matchup with a clash of styles in different areas, and I would be a lot more willing to pick the Brazilian if he was at his peak. Oliveira looked technically good, but markedly less dynamic in his last fight against Chandler, and still got hurt on the 5th by a version of the American that wasn't on his level. Topuria, on the other hand, comes with the confidence and momentum of all-time great victories, and his power and physicality should be at their highest point right now. Oliveira has very interesting tools to punish the former featherweight champion. His kicking, knees in the clinch, his own counter-punching, and his high-level grappling could all present challenges that Topuria has not encountered, even in the form of Volkanovski and Holloway. Especially considering that Oliveira is bigger than them. But I think the age tips the scale in favor of the Spaniard here, as Oliveira's reactions and ability to take hits, plus his lack of comfort in fights where he doesn't hold a grappling advantage, got more apparent in years. And I'm not saying here that Topuria is the better grappler, but I think that Topuria is probably capable of just staying on top of Oliveira without getting like immediately submitted. Oliveira obviously has the ability to create scrambles against like any opponent. We saw that against even Tsarukyan, who is like very heavy from top position. But I think that Oliveira loses a lot on the feet when he feels like the takedowns are bad for him. We saw that against Tsarukyan. We saw that against Islam Makhachev. Oliveira loses a lot of the recklessness. He starts like taking steps back, and his defense is not as good when moving back. Also, he will be dealing with the huge power of Topuria, and Oliveira has been hurt. Like not long ago, we saw like Islam Makhachev hurt him on the feet. Dustin Poirier just engaging. And he has been hurt in ways that Topuria is very capable of. The ways that Oliveira usually gets hurt. Moving, backing out of range. He gets hurt to the left side when he tries to shoulder roll a right hand. Topuria excellent at putting the left hook behind the right hand. And also to his right side when he like tries to counter with the right hand, with his own right hand inside the pocket. We saw that against Dustin Poirier, and he got him with the right hook over the top when Oliveira was squared, and he had the high guard up in that exchange. So yeah, I think it's that. I cannot trust Oliveira to just like do again what he did against Dustin Poirier and just walk through the fire. Especially because even though he was doing like fantastic work in that fight with the knees, with the counter uppercuts, like Oliveira was looking very, very good on the feet, but he was still losing the damage battle early. He was putting money in the bank with the bodywork for sure, but he was getting hurt very, very often in that fight. And if it weren't for takedowns, like who knows? I'm not saying that Dustin Poirier would have won on the feet, but to me it looked like that. Like obviously you gotta account that Oliveira was doing bad damage to the body, and maybe that was going to tip the scale in his favor eventually. But he had to find those takedowns. And I think he will have to hurt Topuria a lot more to find set takedowns in this situation. And Topuria looks solid. His kicking defense has looked very solid against Volkanovski and Holloway. Marked improvement since he got his head kicked by Jai Herbert in his short notice lightweight bout back then. So obviously, as I said, like Oliveira has the tools. But seeing tape, I saw some stuff that I like from Topuria. Topuria can look sketchy moving back. If you put him on his toes, his defense is not that great. He likes open space. He likes like being close to the center of the octagon to have his movement, to move his head freely. But he has shown some good stuff to deal with that. We saw like very responsible high guard against Volkanovski, and then we saw like the ability to like load his way back and get like lighter on his lead leg, and get into a taller stance that is better to defend kicks against Holloway. I thought that the vulnerabilities inside the clinch too. Like Topuria surprised me watching tape. He's solid inside the clinch. He blocks knees. he goes hard to the body. When he disengages, he's not very exposed. He hides behind his lead shoulder of choice very well. He's not like there to be killed by a big elbow or a big knee very easily during exits. And we saw like that takedown against Max Holloway. Like, he's strong, he's powerful. We usually do not see people taking down Max Holloway like that. He has the he can stay safe from top position and land ground and pound. So yeah, I feel at the end of the day is that as compelling as this fight is, I feel like Oliveira at this age this turns into like from a very close matchup that could go either way depending on a few tactics. It tips into being a more of a Topuria matchup where Topuria is going to land something big, and I'm not sure if Oliveira is going to make a full recovery. And another thing is that I feel like Topuria is going to follow Oliveira to the ground in case of a knockdown with a lot more confidence than Dustin Poirier or Justin Gaethje. And that I'm not doubting the mental fortitude of the Bronx, but it's not that he lacks heart. Obviously, he has like ton of heart. He's like made of iron. But you as a fighter, when you start like having to be concerned with stuff, it takes a toll, and we've seen that in the fights where Oliveira is not like the. It's not that we saw like Oliveira against Dustin and against Justin Gaethje. He was like on the ground. The ground is my domain. I get knocked down. I don't care. I get taken down. I don't care. And then you saw against Sarukian and against Islam Makhachev when there was like a few grappling exchanges that didn't go his way, and he immediately started fighting different. He's like, okay, I cannot get taken down because I'm going to lose a round here. And I feel it's that coupled with the fantastic the mechanics and the power in the boxing of Topuria and some very clever ideas. And I feel like Topuria is going to come prepared with some good drilling for the habits of the Bronx. And also he's just a solid boxer. Like, can Oliveira like kill him with a left hook on the inside? For sure. But if I have to make a pick, guys, I've been like foreshadowing this for a long time already, so let's get to the pick. I think that Topuria is going to become a two-way champion. He's getting the knockout on the second round, and that's my final pick, and I didn't change the picture. But yeah, that's my final pick. It's Topuria by round 2 knockout. That's it. Okay, let me get back to the chat because like there's quite a lot between Dan and Ghost. Okay, so Dan says Topuria Oliveira for my money comes down to center line control. Topuria feints and steps in versus Oliveira collar grabs and level change takedown. Yeah, Topuria may find Oliveira is a lot harder to kick, but he might find success stepping in on kicks. So I feel like Oliveira obviously has a decent chin, but yeah, he has this habit. Like Ryan Wagner has talked about this, that Oliveira gets in position to punch. Right, he fights very upright and he takes like a split step to get into like a more athletic position to punch. But the thing is that when he exits range or when he's at open space, he stands very tall and he's not in a great position to absorb punches. So it's probably got to do a bit with that. But we've seen fighters fight out of tall stances and be very good at absorbing punches. But so there's a bit of both, I think. Yeah, if Topuria gets his back against the cage, he's probably going to. Oliveira is going to thrash him for a little bit. I'm pretty sure about that. We'll have to see about. I wonder if Oliveira is going to go with leg kicks here, because Topuria is very responsible with the middle kicks and the high kicks. He just like we saw, and he's not only blocking, he's like leaning the right way and doing the and putting the opposite hand to block. Against Volkanovski, I was very surprised that he was showing like very good technique. Like he was ready to deal with kicks, even though like Volkanovski obviously got some success with the kicks. But yeah, man. I feel like Topuria surprised me, and then against in the Dubronx fight, right? I mean, not in the Dubronx, in the Max Holloway fight. The back slant. That was like he was making sure that just in case that Holloway came prepared to kick here, he was going to be ready for that. And then Holloway didn't kick that much, but he incorporated that into a bigger game plan. Kobe Soldic, best breakdowns on YouTube. Hey man, appreciate that so much, man. It means so much to me that. Trick or Treat, great breakdown. Appreciate it so much, guy. Hey Dan, good night. I'm excited about talking about these fights next Tuesday or Wednesday. I don't know when we are doing the post fight, but very excited about talking fights with you, man. Thank you, Ghost. I'm going to get to the outro then. And that's the pay-per-view. This one is a solid, man. This one is a solid one. Very excited about this. So let's just a quick recap. If you want to watch or pass about this one. McVey versus Christopher Ewert, maybe not the most high-profile fight, but it's an interesting fight between undefeated prospects in a middleweight division that needs more of those. It's probably going to be action-packed. If you've seen fights from McVey or Ewert, they are violent. So I think watch this one. Diniz versus Hines. I think they are going to scrap. And both guys, for heavyweight, they are resourceful and decently technical. I think this one has potential to be a good fight, especially if we have an early knockout. Jacobe Smith is very exciting, but not very sure about this fight. It's a good test for him, but I'm not sure if it's going to be a good watch. McKinney versus Borshcheev. Not trusting Borshcheev nowadays, but it's probably going to be exciting as long as it lasts. Araujo versus Cortez is interesting, and if Cortez puts on a good performance, or maybe Araujo shows up, there's a chance that this is good. They are very well matched, but this might be a skip. We've seen Araujo being quite a few not so exciting fights lately. Amil versus Delgado is the one that it's flying under the radar that is going to be crazy. Is this one? Just watch. Hyder Amil versus Jose Delgado is going to rule. Keep an eye on that one, man. I'm not saying that either of these guys are going to go insanely far in the featherweight division, but it's going to be action-packed for sure. Hermansson versus Rodrigues, I feel like Hovakov is exactly the foil to get an exciting fight out of Jack Hermansson. Rodrigues is always going for it. And Hermansson is so tough and he's going to adapt, and there's a chance that Hermansson rallies late, which is exciting. And even when Rodrigues wins, he's so violent, so it's gonna be fun. Or opener Payton Talbott versus Felipe Lima, fantastic fight, fantastic. Even if Lima gets his way and gets takedowns and gets to strike in transition and makes Talbot look bad, it's still probably a good fight, right? Dariush versus Moicano is just a great veteran on veteran action. And to be fair, these guys might be kind of old, kind of past it. Dariush and Moicano are usually very violent. The only times that a Moicano fight is boring is when he is going for desperate takedowns. But Dariush is too good of a grappler to make that like a viable option for Moicano. So I think they're going to scrap. We're going to see high level scrambles. Great fight. Roybal versus Van, just fantastic, man. Like Joshua Van is must see TV, and Roybal is like, he had that bad fight against Moreno, but Roybal is like, you saw that fight against Tyra. This one is going to rule. Pantoja versus Kai Kara-France might be one of the slower ones in the card. If Kai Kara-France is not throwing a lot of volume and Pantoja feels like he's winning. But even if it's slow, I think it's going to be exciting. It's going to be to keep out on the edge of our seats. And if Pantoja starts dominating, he does like cool stuff with the grappling and stuff. So, but I'm excited. And main event for me, the main event is, I'm going crazy about this main event. It's such a good fight. I'm so excited about it. So yeah, it's just like Topuria fights are something special nowadays, and I feel like the same has been true for the Bronx for a long time. So this one is really something, man. And just like the undisputed lightweight title on the line, with Makhachev leaving the division, it's like just a big addition to it. But yeah, I mean, I like this pay-per-view. Nothing that I hate here. Even the fights that I don't expect to be super exciting, they are fulfilling a role or in their divisions. They are testing a prospect or giving us something. So I'm very happy with this. So yeah, I'll be back with videos during the week. Not super sure about what, but yeah, videos are coming. And Saturday, hope you guys tune for the Fight Companion. I'm doing whole card from the very first prelim to the main card. Will be soldering up for this one. So join me. Let's go. Let's watch the fights together, right? And have fun with that. Hey, appreciate everyone for showing up. I know that I did this one kind of late, but I wanted to do like the extra research for this one because it's so good, right? I hope you guys enjoyed the breakdowns. Follow me on socials. Remember to go to Patreon if you want to support me. I'll be having something exclusive for the Patreon boys as always this week. So yeah, thank you so much for everyone for tuning in. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.